I know most of you are trying to come to terms with those narcissistic individuals in your life. You're trying to determine, how far do I really need to go with these people? Sometimes you have these individuals in your life and you just can't maneuver around them entirely. Sometimes, though, you have greater options in terms of how much exposure you're going to have with them. And much of the decisions that you make with respect to how you're going to respond to them is going to depend on the level of pathology that you see in those individuals. Once you're in the presence of somebody that's truly a troubled soul, it can actually bring out the worst in you, and you find yourself walking on eggshells, and that's just not a way of life that you want. I want to talk with you today about how to spot those narcissists who are way far down on the full end of the pathological scale of narcissism. We know that they have a high need for control and low empathy and entitlement and all of that. But there are some individuals that are so far down there, they're so hardened in their approach towards life. They're so persistent. They're so habitual. They're so chronic. It's so embedded in them that they just simply cannot be anything else. And these are what I call the fully pathological narcissists, and they're bad news. And so as I go through, I'm going to give you 10 characteristics. As I go through these characteristics to watch for, I'm hoping you can kind of get a gauge as to what you're dealing with. And like I say, it'll help you figure out how you can most wisely respond to them. Now, of the 10 characteristics, number one that I'm going to zero in on is, first, in that pathological narcissist mind, they genuinely believe that they are truly exceptional. All of the thoughts that you may have about everybody else, who's a regular individual, just in their minds doesn't apply to them. They see themselves as being pretty close to flawless, even though to you and to anyone else, there's a glaringly obvious display of their many flaws, but they just don't see it. Now, they see your flaws, which makes them the exception. I know all the rest of you individuals out there, you have many difficulties, but not me. And so in their world, you're just somebody who's a nuisance, you're a prop, you're someone to be used, and they see themselves as being not just a little ahead, but way ahead of everyone else. There's a true condescension that they maintain. Number two, these deeply pathological narcissists have zero need to reciprocate the good that you might offer to them. Going back to that thing about themselves feeling very exceptional, in their mind, if you do something that's nice to them, if you do something that's helpful, they're just thinking, you should have done that. You owe me. I'm deserving of those things. You're not. And let's suppose that you're the kind of person that likes to do some individuals a favor, or you pay compliments, or you go out of your way to accommodate these individuals. And over time, you realize none of that's coming back. When that becomes an ongoing pattern and it's very persistent, it's like that individual, by refusing to acknowledge good in you and to participate in good with you, that's their attitude of entitlement. And the less they can go in that direction of reciprocating good, the more you realize I'm dealing with somebody who has a really harsh way of looking at other individuals. Number three, they have, and this is a big one, these pathological narcissists have no sensitivity whatsoever to the pain that they cause in other individuals. Now, first, if they notice that somebody is in pain, or they're writhing, or they're complaining, or they're having obvious struggles, they're going to be thinking, well, this doesn't have anything to do with me. Even if they're the ones that inflicted it, it couldn't be my fault, is the way they think. And if you're over there in pain, their lack of care whatsoever, they'll be thinking, well, if you have a downfall, you did it to yourself. You contributed to it. You're the loser, not me. And guess what? I never cared about you anyway. And these individuals have no sense of remorse. They have no sense of regret. They certainly have no willingness or need to enter into your life in a way that says, I'd like to be a helpful presence. It's like, just quit crying, or quit writhing, or quit aching. You're bothering me. That's all they think. Or they'll just move away and go on to their next victim. Number four, these pathological narcissists will vilify anyone who dares to correct or to call them out. So if you actually sit down with that person and say, you have a problem, and you and I are not doing very well together, and there's certain things that I'd like you to be aware of, just be prepared, because you're going to get the cannonballs come flying right back at you. In their mind, you have no right to that kind of opinion. You have no right to whatever hurt you're trying to express. You have no right to your disappointment. You have no right to confront them. That implies that if they respond to your confrontation, it implies a form of equality. Okay, you have your thoughts, I have mine, and they don't think that way. As far as they're concerned, you are not in their league. Therefore, you don't have the right to confront them or to say anything that might express displeasure, because you see, they're the enlightened one, you're not, and there's a harshness, there's a deep closed nature that they maintain. It's like you are not allowed to think that way toward me. Now, number 5, and I want you to be thinking about some of the narcissists you've known for and see how tightly this applies. Pathological narcissists are very awkward and uncomfortable in the giving and receiving of tenderness. Now, some of the narcissists who might be sexual predators might want to give you the impression that they're into you and all like that, but that's not tenderness. But I'm talking about more than just that. I mean, simple things about showing acts of kindness or expressing warmth. I recall so well, there was a man that I had a lot of suspicions about as I would see him in the public. And there was somebody that was really trying to pay him a compliment. This individual was being really nice to this guy. And it's like he was sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do with this, but because you're saying nice things, and just quit it. Just quit it. And they don't want to hear tender kind of things because they don't know the essence of love. Somewhere deep into their deep history, that was that lesson was not taught very well at all. They don't know how to love. They don't know how to be gentle. That's just something that they think is a nuisance. Get out of here. Go away. Now, number 6, if they do anything good, like it seems as though they're kind of doing something that would be helpful, they have a very strong expectation for a payoff. Now, sometimes you'll have these individuals that'll say, well, I'll buy you this or I'll help you out with that. And then at the backside of it, it's like, now, you owe me and you are here to do my bidding now, and we're not going to stop until you give me everything that I want in reverse. I want to be rewarded. I want to be recognized. I want to be admired. I need you to brag about me. So anytime they do something good, there's a real strong expectation of what you're supposed to give them. And there's kind of a mean and a judgmental attitude that they maintain if you choose not to, or if you don't regale them properly enough. Now, speaking of mean, that takes us to number 7. If and when, and more often it's when, relationships come to an end, they're very mean and destructive as they bring relationships to an end. These pathological narcissists have no problem whatsoever being very insulting about you in front of your face, behind your back, to anyone that they can speak to. They go into the writing of revisionist history. Whenever there's a breakup, they'll talk about how, I knew from the very beginning you were a loser, and they'll go back and minimize anything good and maximize anything that might be negative. They minimize any kind of importance that you might have had in their life, and they'll try to sabotage your future, your influence, your friendships. Whenever there's a breakup with these individuals, and whether it's in a personal relationship or business or elsewhere, they just want to make sure, I want you to suffer. I want you to writhe in pain, and it goes back to that, and I don't care what it does to you. You've met your match, and it is going to be miserable for you. Talk to somebody who's divorcing a malignant narcissist or this pathological narcissist, and they'll give you some really ugly stories about how they do this. Number 8, these pathological narcissists are willingly deceptive. They have all sorts of secret schemes about how they're going to do life, and they can rationalize anything. If they're mismanaging money, or if they're just purchasing things for themselves, or if there are sexual secrets that they have, You don't need to know, and I'll talk to you about who I am on a need to know basis. And as far as they're concerned, their life is their own. They have no sense of openness and accountability toward anyone. I make the rules, you don't. Shut up and get out of my face. That's the way they think. Speaking of that, number 9, the rules or protocols are for you in life, and morality, all that's for you, but they're not for the narcissist. And these are individuals who they just kind of take I write the rules as I will. Yesterday the rule was this, today the rule is this. Morality means nothing to them. In their business procedures, you don't really like doing business with them because they break the rules constantly. Their morality is very suspect. If they do some things that would cause other individuals to think, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't right, they don't care. They don't follow any kind of protocol. As long as they get what they want, rules, regulations, morality, ethics, they're just off to the wayside. Those are just things that are, for the common folk, but not for them. And then finally, number 10, we can say that these pathological narcissists are genuinely empty on the inside. As you try to probe and get an idea of who they are and what their meaning and purpose in life is, you realize they have one purpose in life, and that is to meet their own needs and to build themselves up. That's it. Life is all about making me satisfied at your expense. There's no sense of plugging into a transcendent understanding of love or goodness or dignity or respect. Those kinds of things, they think, who needs to think about that? I don't want to waste my time on that. So we go back and we say, you're trying to assess who these people are and how you're going to respond. Let's close with a few thoughts, and that is, don't minimize what you see with these individuals. Sometimes these pathological narcissists can be charmers, at least in the beginning. But when you see these kind of signs, know it's real and know that these kind of signals indicate they don't do relationships well at all. Another thought, do not become their apologist. Sometimes these people can gather flying monkeys around them who say, well, I know he's got a temper. I know she's this way. And they start making excuses. Don't be that kind of person. These are troubled souls, and they don't need yet another person that comes along and tries to prop them up in a false kind of way. And then don't assume that you have to curry their favor. And then once you see the fullness of their pathology, plan your exit, because you need to have as minimal of contact as you can with these individuals. They're very difficult, and like I say, they're very entrenched. Make your plans knowing that today they're this way, yesterday they're this way, and in the future it's going to continue, and make your decisions knowing that to be the case. Now, I do hope that videos such as this will stimulate you to some good thinking and give you a good education of what you're dealing with. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button. If you need some counseling, and if there's someone in your area that's available for that, then I would encourage you to do so. And if you don't have someone immediate, we've vetted a group that is an online counseling service, and we have a link below our videos here so that you could go there and make yourself available to that. And if you need counseling, I would encourage you to do so. In addition, we have our websites, survivingnarcissism.tv. And by the way, I have an article on this very topic on survivingnarcissism.tv and a quiz that goes along with it. And then drlescarter.com. We have a link to our bookstore that has our books, and we have online video workshops, lots of stuff there. Know that I want you to have a life of goodness and decency, and so much of it is contingent upon who you associate with. Know what you're dealing with and practice self-care, because I want you to have a life of steadiness, goodness, self-respect, and most of all, I want you to find peace.